Larry, can you lead us in a word of prayer before we get started?
Our God, Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the wonderful blessings you give us. We thank you, Lord, for the time today we have to go to your word and to learn from your word and to look at another leader from your scriptures, Father. Pray, Lord, that you be with us today and help us open our hearts to those things you have prepared for us. In Jesus' name.
All right. This morning we're going to take a look at one of the more consequential leaders for Israel. He's a very unique person. If you just kind of read the scriptures about him, you get a very, kind of like a better term, a one-dimensional picture of him. But when you actually take a look at the things he demonstrates in his life, the way we're going to approach this, we'll go through the life of Joshua today, and then next week we will talk about the leadership attributes of Joshua. And if you want to prepare for next week's class, just do whatever search engine you use, whether it's Chat or AI or Google. Just Google Joshua and leadership. And you'll be amazed at the amount of writings that are out there about a man that kind of gets pretty easily passed over in the Bible. The attributes, the leadership attributes that he demonstrates are applicable today as they were back then. He's unique in that he was the one who actually led them into the promised land. But more importantly, he's a man who replaced a legend and succeeded. So if you go through history and you look at people who replaced living legends, not a real long list. Not only did Joshua replace Moses, he exceeded Moses. He accomplished what Moses couldn't. But the question is always why? Why was Joshua able to accomplish so much? And when you look at him in the Bible, he kind of is carved out in a unique place. In Hebrews chapter 4, Joshua is, the writer of Hebrews goes pretty much that Joshua did not provide a day of rest, but Christ will. So Joshua was the one who took God's chosen people to the promised land. Jesus is the one that prepared the promised land for us. And the writer of Hebrews thought that was an appropriate corollary. But the interesting thing is Joshua isn't really what you would call dynamic. He's not charismatic. He just kind of is. And today we're just going to kind of go through his life and find out why he was the way he was. So first thing we see about Joshua is he was the oldest son in the tribe of Ephraim, most likely born in slavery. And I'll come to why we think that here in a minute. His name was really Hosea, and it means God is salvation. So, he kind of started out with a track record. Yeah, he was the oldest son, and his name means God is salvation. So there's a purpose there. The first time we see Joshua is in Exodus chapter 17. So if you turn over there real quick. And I honestly believe there's a lot that you can learn from this. So in Exodus 17, starting in verse 8. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rehoboam. And I'm going to say these names poorly, but we're just going to move on. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the mountain. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, he took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side, one on the other, so his hands remained steady. So Joshua overcame the army with the sword. Okay, so you've been you're relatively young. Josephus and his writings after the time of Christ put